Aloha, loves. Welcome back to the Intuitive Eye. I'm Sophia Marie, and I'm here with a very special guide, Melissa Bradley. She has a beautiful company, Love Your Magical Life, and it's really about tuning into your true self, your true essence, and really your source self. So we're so delighted to have you here with us today.
Oh, thank you, Sophia. Such a pleasure to be here with you.
Awesome. So when you're actually guiding people into connecting with the truth of themselves, how important is intuition?
Well, I would say it's most important to be able to see what they can't see for themselves in that moment, right? I mean, yeah, oftentimes when clients come to me, there's layers, right? The layers of conditioning, the layers of separation, that once we start lifting those off, then they can see what I can see too. I can see, right into, the potential that exists for them.
And how do you actually do that? How do you see into the potential?
Great question. Well, for example, I was with a client this morning and I've been working with her for a few months, and she was just able to see what I've been able to see all along, which is she has such a passion for food and nutrition and healing the planet through new food choices, through a plant-based living style. And she had so many layers on top of her when we first met. I could see this vision for her all along. And this morning she calls me, she's like, "Oh my God, I got it. This is amazing. No, this is huge. Like, it's really big." I go, "I know." Yeah, it is really big. She goes, "But it's really big." I go, "I know. It's amazing, right? Are you ready to claim that for yourself now?" She's like, "Yeah, this is so awesome." So yeah.
That's lovely. So as clients are claiming the truth of themselves, as they're anchoring into their intuition, how important is it for them to connect to others who are doing the same? And then what does that create?
So you're talking about, so this particular client, right? She knows that she's here to deliver, to birth a new earth through nutrition, through what we are, what humans are putting in their mouths. Are you saying, how important is it for her to organize herself with others who are here and bringing that forth into or?
Well, not only her, but each of us, as we're anchoring into our own true self, as we're anchoring into that intuition. How important is it that we connect with others, and then what does that create?
Well, I would, yeah, and I know, yeah, you weren't just referring to her, but it's, it's vital. It's really vital, and we're in a massive time of coming home. As we know, coming home to our true heart, our true source, our true self, our true love, our true beingness. I could go on with the truths and our true magic. And in that, we are vibrating in such a frequency, in such a way that we're attracting like-hearted, like beings. And as we come together, then we can co-create, collaborate, and bring things forth we can birth these new paradigms, these new ideas, much easier and much faster than we can on our own. So intuition is key in the knowing of who are we meant to play with, who's fun for us to play with, who do we want to play with, who do we want to create with, because we get to choose it all. So yeah.
Yes. And we're living in such a dynamic time in history, not only for the earth, but in the history for humanity. What are some of the biggest gifts that you see? As you said, you mentioned coming home, but what else do you see are the biggest gifts in this global shift that we're partaking of?
Well, I would say everything, everything. is a gift in this massive awakening that is taking place. The ultimate gift in coming home, you know, to the peace in our heart, to the love in our heart, to remembering that we are the creators and that we get to co-create and collaborate with each other and with Mother Earth and with all the beautiful sentient beings, the animals and the plants, and just being in such divine reverence for this gift of life that we've been given. And I'm witnessing new levels of gratitudes in this new earth too. I mean, beings are more grateful than they've ever been for everything, you know, for a moment of contact with another human being. Oh my God, wow, what a gift, right? Like things that we used to take for granted are now, you know, viewed as gifts. And for a walk outside, you know, in the grass, or being able to go to the beach and swim. I just went for a swim before we were coming together, and I'm witnessing people come together in whole new ways and whole new collaborations. I'm witnessing new financial paradigms being birthed as the old ones are being phased out. There's just so much that is, you know, just lovingly sloughing off, falling away as we, you know, come in and be everything that we came here to be.
On a personal note, what would you say is one of the biggest changes for you?
Yeah, it's funny. I work from home. So already my clients, I do Zoom via Zoom, and I do some live events, and I do a lot online already, and I live with an amazing partner, and it's been coming home. It's been going deeper into home, you know, deeper into the beingness, into the gifts and the treasures that exist within. It's the calling, you know, that absolute calling, like it's time to show up. You cannot not show up now. And so, you know, making new offerings and Facebook Lives, and feeling the deep, rich gratitudes and reverence for life, and witnessing and marveling at how all this is orchestrated, you know, by the divine, and how loved and held and truly cherished and supported we all are in this beautiful kingdom of heaven and earth, heaven on earth that we're living in. So,
What would you say to someone who's not experiencing it as that, as the heaven on earth, who are actually going through losses such as death of a loved one, or a loss of their job, or, you know, things being more difficult
yeah,
than
of course.
normal? If that's their experience, what would you tell them?
Yeah, I totally get that. Yeah. Well, I would be with them. And I support many of my clients in moving through the death of a loved one, and through loss of work or relationships or money, you know. And so I think, you know, firstly, with great compassion, you know, and sharing with them. Gosh, there's so many ways to share with them. And I lost a very dear loved one of mine not too long ago. And in that, I have a whole new relationship with death. So if someone is losing someone to COVID or something else, you know, I'd want to be with them and explore with them what are your perceptions around death? What does that mean for you? And if they were open and they wanted to, I could offer some guidance of other perceptions and possibilities, and take them into some other frequencies. And, you know, that bridge that exists between dimensions, I could support them with being there. So that's, you know, death is probably the most challenging thing that we face here on this planet, the perception that there is such a thing as death. And so I think that we're here, I think we're healing that right now. You know, we're healing the misperceptions that there's death and that there's some sort of final thing that happens and we get buried in the ground and that's it. You know, there's, which is very much a perception that's been circulating in the human consciousness for eons. And now we get to view it in a whole new way, that we are endlessly loving beings. We're eternally loved and we're eternally loving. And that this is just, there's always that cycle of the death and the rebirth and the death and the rebirth and the death and the rebirth. And that, you know, we're always in choice. So it would be, you know, it'd probably be a beautiful conversation depending on where they're at. And, you know, if there's loss of a job, inviting them into, you know, the wondering. I love to take clients into the wondering and the dreaming, you know, weaving in their dreams and dreaming in their weaves. Like, I wonder what else is possible here. Like, if you could choose anything from an infinite menu of the universe, what would be fun for you at this point of your life? You know, just really tuning in with them of what that would be. So those are some of the ways that I would play.
I love that you brought up wonder. That's actually been a piece of a multiple conversation. It's been something that I've said for years. I like to call it wonder and wander. So then where you're inspired to go, it's like you're wandering.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And how beautiful that is, you know, like when we're wandering in a forest, right? And all of a sudden a butterfly flies by and we're like, whoa, whoa. And then we follow the butterfly and then we're taken to a field of bright yellow flowers that we didn't know was there before. To me, that's the wondering always leads to this wandering that leads to more wonder, that leads to more wander. Like it always, you know, I've had so many, I mean, I've gone through loss of loved ones through to death and loss of work, jobs, you know, so many things. And then when I begin to wonder, I'm shown something else. And it's like, wow.
I also love that you brought up choice, because as you said, there is an infinite menu of choices, yet I feel that a lot of people come from the place of, I don't have a choice, or, you know, in something like this, especially, it's like, I'm at the effect of the government, I'm at the effect of this virus, I'm at the effect of these lockdowns or things like this. So what perspective would you invite them into when they're feeling like they don't have a choice?
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, I would ask them to tune into their hearts. You know, I would take them into some deep breaths and asking them just to relax, you know, relax everything, relax their body, relax their minds. You know, the mind has a very finite viewpoint of what is possible here. So when we tap into the heart, we start to open up more and more and more and expand into what else is possible. So if they have any relationship with angels or guides, God, source, the universe, I would invite them. I always like to go direct to source, if you will, because we all have that and we all crave that and want that. I know when I was plugged in direct to source, my whole life changed. I was like, wow, it was a whole new world. I went from feeling like a victim and that I wasn't in choice and why does this keep happening to me? And I was very much there. And then when I opened this up through somebody else's guidance and that divine remembrance that took place in me, it became a whole new world. So I would invite them and just ask, you know, ask them to ask God, the universe, source, do I have choice while I'm here on this planet? And just have them listen in to what they hear is shared, because they will be told, and in their hearing that for themselves, a lot begins to awaken, a lot begins to open up and be revealed.
How do they refine that listening? Because obviously there's a lot of voices, especially right now, social media and news and, you know, a ton of energy such as fear and that are adding to the voices. So how do you actually refine what you're hearing so that you know you're hearing your true voice.
Yes. One of my favorite subjects. Again, having just been with a beautiful client this morning I've been working with for a few months. I mean, she was telling me some of the, the crazy stuff that was going on in her mind, right? And I think many realize now that that voice, the crazy voice, is not theirs. And in the recognition that that is not our voice, we can engage with it. I mean, one of the tools I like to play with is like, that's so cute, but the truth is, right? So the more we take ourselves into the truth, the more that we redirect the conversation that's happening within, the more that we come into truth, because the truth shall always set us free. So I would invite these beautiful souls to tap into truth. What do they know to be real and true? And had a beautiful soul the other day that was in a bit of freak out mode, and she wasn't in trust and this and that. And I said, well, how do you feel about the flowers? She goes, oh my God, they're so beautiful. I said, do you trust the flowers? She goes, oh yes, I totally trust the flowers, right? So taking people step by step into, what are they willing to trust? What are they willing to see? And then more opens up, and then more opens up, and more opens up. But that truth that lives and breathes through all of us, it's just waiting for us to really hear that voice, as you talk about, the intuition, the guidance that's always there for us. And to circle back to your original question here, it's really it's reprogramming ourselves. Ultimately, it's reprogramming ourselves in truth, in love.
Mm-hmm. Also, it feels like there's an element of not taking those voices so seriously.
Yes. Yes. Well, that's why I giggled when you asked, because this client this morning, I mean, I forget exactly what it was. I kind of wish that I remembered, but I forget things quickly, right? Because I'm just really living in the moment. But I mean, it was a really wild thing. She wants to have a child, and the inner voice was like, oh, you're infertile. It like had this whole story. She's like, well, wait a minute, where is that coming from? That's not my truth. So, but we've done some training together. So it really is a retraining. It's an undoing of the untruths and a remembering of the truths.
I love that. I work with clients a lot on conception as well, both of spiritual things and businesses, but as children as well. And it's just, yes, there's so many voices and energies to undo, so that you can actually receive the energy of the child that's already there. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I love breath work too. I do a lot of breath work through Kundalini yoga. And so my mornings are filled with very deep breathing and just letting go. They call it like taking out the trash, right? Cleaning out the subconscious every day. When we clean out, like you wouldn't let trash pile up in your kitchen, because if you did, it starts to smell. It's the same thing when we let stuff pile up inside, it starts to smell. So through breath work, we can just consciously move the energy, and then we're hearing the true guidance, the real guidance, the intuitive self.
Awesome. So for those who aren't actually familiar with breath work, could you actually take us through maybe like, say, a couple minutes of that?
That's great. That's great. Yeah, I would love that. Well, we'll do a funny one, which is also fantastic for the immune system right now. So this helps to build up the immune system. So we're going to stick out our tongues. And then breathe. Yeah, we're going to breathe deeply. And we can gently close our eyes and focus at the third eye, and open up that place of intuition. And it goes like this. Yeah, so really breathing from the gut, from the solar plexus, from the stomach, just breathing, yeah, letting it all out. Sometimes there's coughing, that's good, because it's just clearing it all out. tongue out even longer, even more, because when we have our tongue out, yeah, then that's when things relax in our spinal system. And that's when we really open up our channels. So you're doing great, Sophia. Keep going. And all you beautiful souls that are tuning in, take a deep breath in. And you can pull your tongue in and sip in a little bit more and sip in a little bit more and squeeze mulabon, so squeeze the sex organs and the anus, and sip in a little bit more, closing the third eye and letting the energy rise up, rise up, rise up, letting it cleanse and clear, cleansing, clear, cleansing, clear, cleansing, clear, cleansing, clear, cleansing, clear, and gently let the breath out. And just let mulabon relax. Just let everything open up and feel clean and clear. How's that feeling?
Beautiful. Definitely much clearer and warm.
Yeah, yeah. It moves. Our breath is, when we're consciously breathing, we can't be in fear. When we're consciously breathing, we're not connected to separation. We're in our source self when we're consciously breathing. So it's a beautiful way to stay liberated. If we would just breathe as human beings, as spiritual beings in human bodies, we're always free through our breath.
And that was very simple. And, you know, I maybe before this period in history, a lot of people said they didn't have time. And now people have more time, but, you know, maybe there's more constraints, like the children are home, or, you know, there's more kind of energies encapsulated in the home, but you can take those 2 minutes. I mean, you can go in your room or go in the restroom or whatever, and just take that breath when you need to. And how perfect would that be maybe when things are escalating, or if the kids are fighting and you're about to lose it and you want to put them outside but you can't. So or yes, just anything.
Well, it's my partner and I were talking about this the other night. It's a way to consciously channel and move the energy. If you're feeling frustrated, angry, scared, sad, if there's a story that you just can't seem to shift, why is this just my, you know, right? I just want to let this go. There's also, I'll just show you, you know, real quickly, is you can go like this, and you can go. Right? And rise that energy up. And sometimes I do that when I'm out on my walks. Like I'll just, and if there's a story that's just been running the show for a while, I'm like, all right, you ready to go? I'll do that until like the energy's really risen, rise it. And then I'll go, I'll be like, hi, oh my God, what a beautiful day. Amazing.
Awesome. Well, thank you for the practical tips on breathwork for those who may not have had that experience. Now you have that, and how easy is that to just take through your day?
Yeah, practical magic. I love practical magic.
I as well. So as we're going through this experience as individuals and as humanity, one of the things that's really important is what we choose to focus on. Yes. So yes, we may have circumstances or reality that's occurring that may not be of our optimal choice. However, what we look at is the horizon. Like even when you go to sunset, it's like what you focus on is that horizon. So intuitively, what would you say is the new horizon that humanity actually has in front of them?
Oh, that's so beautiful. That's beautiful. Well, I can see that so clearly now. So much so that sometimes people think I'm a little crazy. But I feel us all living, as I mentioned, you know, in this heaven on earth, that we're all co-creating and collaborating together in love and peace and joy. We're dancing, we're singing, we're celebrating life. We're celebrating every moment, every breath, we're celebrating everything and everyone. And it's such a pure, pristine state of beingness, where we know that we are the creators. We know that we get to choose in every moment, living our lives in such devotion to this gift of life that we've been given, to this gift of love that we've been given, to this gift of creation that we've been given. And we're stewards, you know, stewards of the Mother Earth, of Gaia. We're stewards of the animals. We're stewards of the plant kingdom. You know, we really are the stewards who are here to care and look after one another, and to look after all the sentient beings. So what I see on the horizon is a whole lot of celebration. It's a whole lot of play in whole new magical ways. Like, maybe we didn't know that our body could move in that way before. We didn't know that we could paint that way, or write that way, or create that way. We didn't know the influence that we had on the elements. You know, we're playing with the elements and the elementals and in whole new ways. And we're just like in awe of ourselves and creation. And it's said that quantum physics says that we're aware of maybe 4%, or experiencing of 4% of what is possible on this earth. So that leaves out of 96% explored. I mean, feels like we're just barely getting started. And so it's really time to start this massive party, this massive celebration for the gift of life that we've been given. That's the way that I'm feeling it and seeing it.
Well, that sounds like a beautiful horizon to focus on.
Yes, yes, yes.
And what we focus on is what we create. So
absolutely, absolutely. Again, yeah, beautiful soul not too long ago said, I'm freaking out. I'm like, what are you focusing on? And so I said, you know, how do you feel when you focus on your cat and pet your kitty? She's like, oh my God, I feel amazing. How do you feel when you focus on the whale friends? I feel amazing, you know? So it's like, yeah, whatever we focus on that feels real and true for us, nurturing to our heart, our soul, our truth, in alignment, is going to uplift us. That is not resonant, you know, is not. And so we can just focus on that which feels amazing and let the rest go. It's actually quite simple. It's really, really simple.
Yeah. Well, I've so enjoyed this conversation with you. And if there was one nugget that you could leave for people, what would that be?
This is your life. Yeah. You've been given life itself. Like, oh my God, life itself. Like, you're here. That's amazing. You're a miracle. Every breath is a miracle. Every moment is a miracle. Every experience is a miracle. It's all a miracle. A miracle to be alive. And so if they would be willing to receive the gift of the miracle that they are, and the miracle that life is, and really breathing and being that miracle for themselves, for their family, for their community, for their friends, for their clients, for the whole entire world.
I hope people take the opportunity to really feel into that and own that they are that miracle, and that they also have the choice on what level to receive that. So
yeah,
here's a beautiful opportunity.
I love that, Sophia. I mean, if every being on this planet received the miracle that they are, all the way through the tip of the toes, top of the head, beyond, above, below, left, right, like in every cell is activated in the miracle that they are. That is the horizon.
Yeah.
It's what we are already. We're just remembering it.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And even if you don't feel like you can do that, even the incremental, like you say, we're operating at 4%. So what if you went, to 10% and then you went to 20%? And what if you just did that? Like, look what you've created now. And what else could you create? Be in the wonder.
Totally. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's beautiful. Yeah.
Hmm. Well, again, thank you so much for being with us, Melissa, and thank you for this beautiful conversation that has invited everyone into being more of that love and that miracle that they truly are.
Oh, my absolute pleasure, Sophia. Thank you so much for the gift that you are.
Mm.
Thank you. Super enjoyed this conversation and look forward to more.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And for the audience, I definitely do hope you actually take it to heart, what we've talked about here, and practice it. Practice receiving yourself, practice receiving that love and that miracle and being in the wonder. And I wonder what magic and abundance and joy you could open up for yourself starting today. Ah, so thank you so much for joining us on the Salon of the Intuitive Eye, and we will see you very soon with the next one. Sending you much love and aloha.
Aloha.